Ladies and gentlemen, there are two kinds of stories. Those you can take to bed with you and then there's the other kind. Now our story tonight is the other kind.
Clifford is a big red fucking dog. Now let me tell you something. Usually when I hear a movie is being released that I feel like is unnecessary and doesn't need to be made at all, you know, like the live action Dora the Explorer movie directed by Michael Bay, it's like, do we really need that? Or it's like, why do they need to reboot Spider-Man 3 different times, you know, in the span of 20 years? Like, is that really a necessary thing? I mean, I guess for some people it is. Or do we really need that many sequels to Alvin and the Chipmunks? Or, you know, does there really need to be 9 Fast and Furious movies? There's a fucking airplane, man. Shit. But for whatever reason, when I heard that Clifford the Big Red Dog was being rebooted, there was something about me that was like, fucking finally. It's about goddamn time that Clifford the Big Red Dog made his debut on the big screen, and let me tell you, this motion picture did not disappoint. You know, it's about time that us Clifford heads, you know, finally got our big favorite, friendly, fluffy character, you know, brought onto the big screen. And one of my very good friends told me that there was an early screening of Clifford the Big Red Dog, and I was like, what? So I got to see an early screening of the film on Tuesday before it premiered on Friday, so that was really cool. It was a fun experience. We went to AMC, it was nice. So we gathered literally everybody we fucking knew, and then, you know, who showed up, and then, you know, we watched Clifford the Big Red Dog. We all got exclusive, AMC Clifford the Big Red Dog posters. Let me go grab it. I'll be right back. Shit. Let me show you the poster I got. It's Clifford, the Big Red fucking Dog. I like how it says limited edition 2021. Like, and it's just a poster made out of paper, and like it's already fucked up. I've had this for like a week, and it's already like looked like it's been through hell and back. So you guys like Iron and Wine? You guys like Iron and Wine? You guys like music? You like indie? Or you guys like Iron and Wine? You like the Arctic Monkeys? And it made me so happy and excited to see that I wasn't the only Clifford head that still, you know, existed. You know, apparently it was a packed theater. It was a full sold out show. There were fucking seats filling the entire theater. And I thought to myself, like, wow, there's a lot of Clifford heads in this world. That's fucking awesome. And let me tell you, this is one of the best theater experiences that I've had probably in my entire lifetime. This was an incredible theater experience. I cannot stress that enough. Not only were we super engaged with the movie, but the entire audience was as well. Like when you go to an early screening of, you know, Avengers Endgame, or, you know, yeah, and like the crowd just goes fucking wild. It's like, it was exactly like that for Clifford the Big Red Dog, and that made me so happy to see. And let me tell you, every time Clifford was on screen, the crowd went fucking wild. Everybody, you can tell that the entire room just loved Clifford. Not only the children, but the adults too. In fact, instead of cheering and clapping, everybody would just bark at the screen. You know, it was just a really beautiful experience, one that you know, would never ever really have anywhere else. And you know, the fact that Clifford the Big Red Dog is able to bring all these people together so we can share the same experience is a really beautiful thing. You know, just a bunch of grown-ass men just barking at the screen every time we see Clifford, because we're so happy to see our buddy on the big screen. It's like, wow. You know, last year sucked ass, but this year's really turning around because Clifford the Big Red Dog's a hit. We're so happy to see our big, fluffy red buddy Clifford back on the, you know, well, he was never on the big screen, but it's just nice to see him on the big screen for the very first time, as opposed to seeing him on a small screen, you know, when I'm sitting in my living room eating cheese and crackers. As for the movie itself, this movie was fucking spooky, man. This was a scary ass movie. I did not expect to be as horrified by this movie as I was. I didn't even expect this to be a flat out fucking horror film, you know? It's genuinely kind of really unnerving stuff, and we'll get to that in a bit. Clifford was actually not as bad as I expected it to be. I remember watching the trailer and thinking like, wow, this looks great, but Clifford looks fucking horrible. He looks like a CGI monster. And then I also remember looking at a behind the scenes photo, you know, like the first screenshot. I remember I remember seeing the first shot of Clifford the Big Red Dog and it just being like this fucking atrocity, and I was like, what is this? This looks fucking scary. I mean, and they kind of made him look better. I mean, I don't know, he still kind of looks like just a CGI blob. But other than that, you know, it was a pretty sweet movie. It had its moments. It's filled with a bunch of tropes and cliches that we've seen 100 million times before. So Clifford the Big Red Dog is a fucking weird ass movie, man. Basically, there's like a single mom and her daughter. I guess the father's out of the picture. I don't really remember if they explain why, but this little girl, if you're a Clifford fanatic and you know your Clifford lore, her name is Emily Elizabeth, and she will become the future owner of Clifford the Big Red Dog, but we don't know that yet. We're just kind of learning her backstory. But the mom's going out of town for vacation for a while, so she asks her unresponsible, unreliable brother who lives in his van to watch her for a couple days. And well, what do you know? The next thing she knows, they're being in trouble with the fucking government because they own a freakish big red dog that should probably not even exist. They never even explain why Clifford exists. They're just like, hey, he's a big red dog, look at him. The unresponsible brother who looks like a knockoff like John Mulaney or something just he takes her to like a circus thing by their apartment, and then John Cleese is there, and then John Cleese is like, hey, I used to be part of the Monty Python thing. And he's like, hey, I collect all these weird freakish anomalies and animals, and you should buy one. And then of course the little girl sees a red dog, but it's not a big dog, it's a little dog, but he gets big. We'll get to that in a bit. He gets a lot bigger. And then Emily Elizabeth is like, oh, I want to keep him, let's take him home. And then they're like, no, you can't take him, but she fucking takes him anyways because Emily Elizabeth is a goddamn G. And unfortunately the brother finds out that Clifford, you know, is in the house, and he's like, okay, he can stay the night, but first thing in the morning we're taking him back. And then Emily Elizabeth is like, no! And she gets really sad that she's not going to see her friend anymore, and then she starts crying on the dog. And you know, let me tell you, man, the tears of children, I don't know what it is about the tears of children, but holy shit, are these things fucking miracles according to cinema. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen movies where like just the tears of children somehow fixes every fucking thing that is going wrong. And apparently they're so magic that they have the ability to bring things back to life. It's insane. I don't know what it is about the tears of children, but holy shit. And the tears of Emily Elizabeth made this little dog fucking huge, because by the next morning he was a big red dog and he was knocking shit all over the place. And then in the movie, Mike Stokowska and Jessica Chastain team up to get Clifford because he wants the big red dog and he doesn't want Emily Elizabeth to have the dog. So Mike Stokowska and Jessica Chastain team up with the government to try to take Clifford away from Emily Elizabeth and her irresponsible uncle. And then it basically just turns into a cat and mouse game, and a chase ensues throughout the film. But you know, the town loves Clifford, and so do I. And so look, man, and that's basically Clifford the Big Red Dog. It's, you know, it has its moments where it's honestly not as bad as I thought it would be. It was kind of funny, you know, in some regards, and you know, it has a heart. It has a heart to it, but it's just, you know, something that I've seen a million times. But then, holy shit, does this movie take a hard left turn, because Clifford becomes horrifying. The next thing you know, the dog is just like fucking trampling in the streets and he's killing people, but he doesn't realize he's killing people because he's so fucking huge. And he's just smushing just innocent fucking children and women with his giant ass paws, and he, you know, he doesn't realize it. He doesn't understand the concept of what's happening. He just wants to have fun because he's a nice happy dog. But no, unbeknownst to him, he's killing people, innocent people. And there were a couple of jump scares in this film that really got me too. They really caught me off guard. I was like, holy shit. You know, at one moment it's like nice and kid friendly and it's so cool, but then oh shit, fucking Clifford comes at you out of nowhere and he's like, ah, fuck you. It was insane, man. It was crazy. I didn't know what shit. And there's one scene in particular where he goes to a park and he just fucking, it's a massacre. It's a fucking bloodbath. It's a massacre that this dog causes. Let me tell you. There's a guy in this big, you know, inflatable ball, and of course Clifford mistakes it as like a tennis ball, but you know, to him it's a tennis ball because he's so big. And so he runs up to the ball and he just, you know, starts playing with it, but the man in there is in pure fucking pain and agony, and he's just in pure purgatory because he's just being thrown around by this dog and he's getting hurt. And I'm like, oh my god, Clifford, don't do that. What are you doing? So yeah, this movie caught me off guard by how horrifying it is, to be totally honest with you. I was thinking of some of the scariest movies I've seen this year, you know, like The Night House, fuck else came out this year? I thought something like, you know, Malignant or The Night House or VHS 94 or Halloween Kills or something would be scarier than this. Conjuring 3, I mean, come on! But no, Clifford kind of takes the cake. It's more horrifying than any of these. It has one of the most effective jump scares I've seen in a film, in a children's film in a very long time. And the way that Clifford just tramples on people and just fucking rips them in two without even knowing it is just really heartbreaking stuff. And I was like, god damn, I can't believe children are gonna watch this movie. And then all of a sudden, the movie's just introducing these themes of like child abuse and neglect and alienation and isolation. And then all of a sudden, Clifford became this, you know, resembled this monster who was supposed to be like inherited trauma, you know, to Emily Elizabeth. Or perhaps, you know, Clifford is a symbolization and representation of the I meant to say meth. Of the meth epidemic, you know, going on in New York City. You know, all these different allegories are all of a sudden being thrown at you, and it's like, goddamn, this is a lot of heavy stuff to take in, you know, as a 9-year-old. So, I mean, that part was a little spooky, so, you know, if you're gonna bring your kids to this movie, I definitely would say watch out for that. But other than that, you know, Clifford the Big Red Dog is a rip-roaring fucking great time. I had a blast with this movie, and so did my friends. In fact, we had so much fun, you know, watching Clifford that we all decided to take photos after the premiere and, you know, just take a group photo because we just had that much fun. I will say, though, one thing that really confused me about the movie was when, you know, Clifford started growing antlers out of nowhere and you're like, where the fuck is this going? Overall, I'd probably give Clifford the Big Red Dog a solid... I had a great time watching it. My friends had a great time watching it. I'd probably give it a 10 out of 10 to be totally honest with you. It's a great fucking great movie. I had a great time watching it. My friends had a great time watching it. Clifford's a big monster. It's